All right, guys. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Hello, hello. Brian Barron, Paula's Choice Research Director.
Hi, guys.
I got to figure out how to... There we go. I'm going to mute myself up there. Such a pain hearing what I just said after I said it. Why are you guys listening to me? Go home. No, I'm kidding. So I'm here once again. It is our last, well, my last live chat on our YouTube page of the year.
Hello, hello.
I think I'm muted twice now. God, I'm sorry, you guys. I promise this is like so finicky and weird. But let me know if for some reason. Hi, Brian. Yes, we can hear you. Perfect. Okay. So anyway, it's my last live chat with you guys of the year. I'll be back again in January to do more. I am taking I guess you could say, an end of year vacation. Had a bunch of time off that I did not use earlier in the year and kind of lost track of how much was accumulating. And then I saw the number of hours I had to use before the year wrapped up, or I would lose them, which, you know, a lot of companies do that. They want you to take your vacation so you can mentally recharge and go see the world or spend time with whomever. So here I am to take your questions. If I seem a little scattered today, I apologize. My husband and I both woke up this morning feeling like crud. That throaty, drainage, kind of slightly achy, you've got a cold and hopefully it's not the flu type thing. I don't think it's the flu. I've had the flu before and it just kind of hits you like a brick wall and you don't want to move or talk to anybody, and I'm not nearly in that place, but a little out of sorts. So I will get to as many of your questions as I can. I want to hear, let's talk about Paula's Choice. Let's talk about what you like, what you don't like, about the products, any questions you have, skincare questions in general, ingredient questions, you know, tap my brain. It's not good for much else. All right, first question is from the Summertime 2506. And she says, hey, after cleansing, I'll check one thing. Oh, goodness. All these questions coming in. Hey, after cleansing comes first tone or exfoliate products and then tone, and how long must I wait after exfoliation to use a cream? Okay. I'm thinking this is an order of application question. So yes, you cleanse, then you would apply your toner with a cotton pad, or you can pour it into your hand and massage it into your skin. I do that with my toner in the morning after I shave. It's a little old school, but I use my toner, the Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner, Paula's Choice, as my aftershave. And so what I do, rather than put it on a cotton pad, is I'll just pour some into the palm of my hand and kind of do the old aftershave splash type thing. But then I put it over the rest of my face too, because why not? Great ingredients in there. So yes, after the toner is the exfoliant. Whether you're using an AHA or BHA, you can apply that morning and night. Some people like applying their exfoliant at night because they don't like layering more than they really need to during the day. Hello. But you do what works best for you, and if you can get away with twice daily exfoliation, especially if you have more visible signs of sun damage, more stubborn clogged pores, that is recommended to do it twice daily. And then you do not have to wait. You can put a moisturizer, a serum, a treatment product, a sunscreen, your makeup on over the exfoliant. You will not stop its action. You will not throw off the pH. I don't want to say it's a myth, but let's just say doing that, while not impossible, is it would take a very long time to move that pH of the exfoliant outside the range of what it needs to be effective. So if you've been waiting, you know, just give it time to work and set, and I can't put anything on top of it or it won't be as effective. It isn't true. Just keep on with your routine and you'll get out the door much faster. Angela says, oh my God, I was watching one of your old live chats just now. Well, we are amassing some of those. So, and I'd like to think there's good information in all of them, Angela. So, you know, you can click around and see what you think. And if you disagree with me, let me know. Always open to constructive criticism, what I can do better. Debbie says, hello. Hello, Debbie. By the way, licorice peppermint tea, awesome combination. Anon 2012. I seriously, okay. I might have to do this, you guys. It's a little scary. Don't laugh. Reading glasses. Almost 44. Thanks for answering my questions about knowing when you've maxed out topical treatments. Guess the follow-up is, how do you learn to look in the mirror and see yourself as others do? Psych 101. Absolutely. Ain't that the truth? You know, I could tell a little personal story about this. I grew up having bad skin. I grew up, you know, into my teen years, not feeling attractive at all. As you can see, I have a light skin tone. So at a time, this was in the mid to late 80s, where everybody was tanning. I couldn't tan, at least not without enduring a painful sunburn. And I would always freckle. And then I started breaking out. So I've got pale skin, freckles, and acne. And I wore glasses. I had LASIK done several years ago, and now these are just reading glasses, but I'm actually going to take them off because they're kind of smudgy. Yeah, so even to this day, I've been working with Paula's Choice for almost 18 years, and I've been using the products for nearly that long, pretty much. And even before that, even before coming to Paula's Choice, I was using good skincare because I was following the product recommendations that Paula made in her books. So when I worked at the department stores, I knew exactly what to buy for myself, and I knew exactly what to recommend to my customers. And, you know, it's funny, at the time, the women I worked with wondered why so many shoppers were coming back and asking for me, because I wasn't just selling to them. I was actually giving them helpful advice based on what I read in Paula's books. So, I don't know, it was kind of like a little secret society for a while. But even when somebody today tells me that I have nice skin, my initial reaction is not to believe them. Because if we get our minds stuck around looking a certain way and then perceiving that's, you know, how we see ourselves is how everybody else sees us. And even worse, they might, you know, see something that's even more unattractive or disgusting that we don't see or have chosen not to focus on. So it's kind of a rambling way to say that it's something that I think all of us who have ever felt unattractive or had skin issues need to work on. And it's, you know, I'm certainly not an expert in this field. You know, what I can say is that taking good care of your skin and knowing that you are doing everything possible via skincare to keep your skin in top shape, that to me is a huge confidence booster. It is monumental for self-esteem. There's absolutely no question in my mind that when you feel that you look good, when you're happy with yourself, inside and out, you project a different kind of energy and confidence into the world, and that energy and confidence is contagious, and it draws good things and good people to you. So that is what I would encourage you to focus on. And in the realm of picking up where even the best skincare leaves off, because even the best skincare has limitations when it comes to aging. Who is texting me at this hour? Yeah, weather alert. Very, very cold here. Find yourself a good cosmetic dermatologist that can work with you on the cosmetic corrective procedures that would address your concerns going past what skincare can do. And it's that the union of, you know, patient and cosmetic dermatologist and great skincare and cosmetic corrective procedures that can really get you to where I think you'll be very happy as you continue to age, which, let's face it, all of us are. Angela says, hey, Bryan, can you tell us more about ALA alpha lipoic acid when used on the skin, not internally? Yeah, alpha lipoic acid is an interesting antioxidant because it's both water soluble and fat soluble. So it can target the skin in different ways, whereas there are certain antioxidants like pure vitamin C, ascorbic acid, which is just water soluble. There are vitamin C derivatives, those that are inherently more stable. You always have to be careful when formulating with ascorbic acid. It's a very delicate ingredient. Lucky for you, we are well aware of all of this at Paula's Choice. So our ascorbic acid products they check off all the boxes for effectiveness and stability. But the other forms of vitamin C that are not ascorbic acid tend to fall into the fat-soluble camp, which is part of what makes them more stable and easier to formulate with. So the other thing I can mention about alpha-lipoic acid is that used, unlike some antioxidants, and again, I can go back to vitamin C as an example, when you use alpha-lipoic acid in high amounts, I'd have to double check the research. I'm thinking it's either 1%, above 1% or above 5%, and I'm leaning toward 5%. And I've never seen, maybe, and I'm guessing here based on ingredient lists because I don't have the quantitative information, but maybe some of Pericone's alpha-lipoic acid products have that much in there. But that's a brand that continues to use classic open mouth jar packaging, and alpha-lipoic acid, like lots of other antioxidants, is susceptible to breaking down with ongoing exposure to light and air, which a jar packaging is the perfect vehicle for that, which is why we don't recommend jar packaging for any anti-aging product. So overall, it's a good antioxidant. You wouldn't want to use a lot of it, though. I think The Ordinary sells a product that has a higher amount. I've seen research indicating that in higher amounts, alpha-lipoic acid can cause an irritant response, almost like a burning sensation on skin. You don't want that to happen. That is definitely a good ingredient that is tipping the scales in favor of irritation. I know I've talked before on these chats about those more bioactive ingredients and how it's a balancing act between how much you need for the benefit versus when you cross that threshold into risk. And we don't want you doing that. We only want you to have the benefit. So that is my diatribe about alpha-lipoic acid. Louis says, hi, how are you? I'd like to ask you if you think a product with squalane, sodium hyaluronate, and caviar extract and peptides would be a good option for anti-aging purposes. Yes, all of those ingredients are good anti-aging ingredients. Caviar extract sounds better than it ends up being. It would be an extract of some sort from fish eggs. So it would be an animal-derived ingredient. If you're trying to stay away from those, this wouldn't be the product for you. Squalane can sometimes be derived from animals, usually sharks. But most manufacturers will get squalane from a vegetable source or synthetic. Olives are a good source of squalane. So all of those ingredients are interesting for skin. The squalane, if that's one of the main ingredients, is going to make this a better product for dry skin. So let's assume we're talking, this is one product. You want to use other anti-aging products, leave-on products that contain a different mix of anti-aging ingredients. You want to give your skin a nice range of those ingredients. In much the same way, all of us should be aiming to give our bodies a nice range of nutrients from various healthy food sources. So you could put together a really nice fruit salad with different berries and some cantaloupe and pineapple and maybe some apples. Let's throw in some pomegranate seeds for a little bit of crunch. But if that fruit salad was all you ate, your body would soon be deficient in certain other nutrients it needs to thrive, even though all of those fruits are good for you. So that's kind of how I liken when we get kind of caught up in just looking for 2 or 3 ingredients for our skin and tend to focus on those to the exclusion of everything else. That's not a great way to approach skincare. I understand it's the easier way to approach skincare, much like following a simple recipe versus trying to make a meal that's more complex. But I promise your skin will do better and you'll look better if you go for a more complex range of ingredients, good ingredients, versus just 2 or 3 that you are familiar with or that you've read about. Because there's just, the list of good ingredients is almost endless. In fact, we were just asked a question by one of the magazines, it was either Marie Claire or Women's Health, um, about how a woman can ensure she's applying all of the anti-aging ingredients out there. And they're really, you can't. I mean, unless you want your routine to be 47 products every day and you love how all of that feels on your skin all at once, there will always be more anti-aging ingredients or possible ingredients than there are products that you can use or would want to use all at the same time. Rebecca says, loving the new Resist Advanced Smoothing Treatment, 10% AHA. Right back at you, Rebecca. Me too. I just think that's a fabulous texture. And of course, you're still getting the great skin smoothing, exfoliating results from the really interesting what the team did with the blend of AHAs and then kicking in a little bit of the BHA as well. It's a great option for our customers, especially those who have advanced signs of sun damage, who are trying to decide between AHA and BHA or want to use both for those benefits, but aren't necessarily keen on having two separate products that they have to then figure out when to apply. So yeah, the new Resist Advanced Smoothing Treatment 10% AHA is wonderful. Of course, I'm not biased. I had nothing to do with that product. Do you have any skincare advice? This is from Courtney. Do you have any skincare advice for me now that I'm pregnant? I'm sad I can't use my beloved BHA. So my general advice, Courtney, is to, of course, consult whoever your attending physician is for your pregnancy and follow his or her advice. That's first and foremost. But generally speaking, the majority of skincare ingredients and skincare products are fine to use while you're pregnant. Sunscreen is okay. You can swap out the BHA for an AHA exfoliant. Cleansers are fine. Moisturizers, eye creams, serums are fine. You don't need to be concerned about vitamin C or niacinamide. But again, or peptides or hyaluronic acid. Hopefully your skin will do even better during your pregnancy. For some women, that's what happens. And then for other women, their skin just takes a nosedive and they have all kinds of issues. I've experienced through my sisters being pregnant, both scenarios. And then my one sister who just has perfect skin no matter what she does. Grr! So there you go. I hope, we might. Let me take a quick look. Actually, I think the last time I clicked off of this chat, I lost you guys and then I had to rejoin. So check our website, the expert advice section. I believe we reinstated our article on pregnancy and skincare. So there's lots of helpful information there in addition to what I just said. I'll pronounce Edia. Hello. Hi, Bryan. What are the best combo of PC products I can use to fade dark hyperpigmentation, older scars around my jaw? So let me be clear up front that if you're talking about an actual scar, as in a result of the skin being wounded, we do not have products to address that. There really aren't skincare products that you can use to eliminate a scar. There are certainly products you can apply, such as those with irritating ingredients, that could potentially make a scar look worse. So don't do that. But if what you are talking about is the type of discoloration that can occur after you have a breakout, that's not a scar. That is a form of discoloration that is a result of your skin's response to a breakout. It has nothing to do, what you're using to take care of the breakout isn't going to cause that. For some people, they're just more prone to it. When you're very light skinned like myself, those marks show up as pink to red. And if you have more, a darker skin tone, more melanin in your skin, you will likely see a tan to brown mark where that breakout used to be. My favorite products to fade the appearance of those marks would be a combination of a high-strength vitamin C product as well as a BHA, or you could use an AHA exfoliant. Improving that surface exfoliation will help to fade the appearance of those marks, and the vitamin C just helps to brighten and make the skin tone look more even. And then the last portion of that is you want to make sure, and this is just true in general, you know what I'm going to say, broad spectrum sunscreen every single day, rated SPF 30 or greater. That is the single most important thing you can do to protect and preserve the health and the appearance of your skin, bar none. As great as all those other anti-aging products out there are, if you are not protecting your skin from UV light, not just sunlight, it's UV light, it's daylight every day, you're not doing all you can to have smoother, healthier looking, younger looking skin. And if you're okay with that, by all means, but I think if you're watching this, you have some sort of an interest in your skin's appearance and want it to look as young as possible for as long as possible. Hi, Anthony. Jacqueline says, is it okay to use toner around the eyes? I use the Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner. It is, Jacqueline, but keep it limited to the orbital bone area, so stop about right here. And you can do the underbrow area if you want, but because it's not, you can sweep it over the eyelid area if you are moving away from the tear duct, but generally speaking, getting it on the eyelid itself, it's just trickier, and for most people it really isn't necessary. We don't want you to get the product in the eye itself, and of course that is, the closer you get it to the eye, that's the risk. But yes, for the orbital bone area, underbrow, sometimes people get a little bit of flaking through here. I'll have that problem every now and then. I don't know why, it just oftentimes it'll show up for no rhyme or reason, and then I'll just dab some toner there or a little bit of extra moisturizer and it goes away. Gigi, bonjour, Bryan. Je t'aime. My question is, and if I butchered that French word, I'm sorry. How long to wait between toner and exfoliant with lots of antioxidants and BP and then BP and serums and moisture? So you don't have, how long to wait between toner and exfoliant? You don't have to wait. The exfoliants don't contain ingredients that make the antioxidants ineffective or somehow less stable. So that's not a concern. For benzoyl peroxide, which is what I'm taking, is what you mean by BP. Because benzoyl peroxide, the manner in which it works, can have an effect on antioxidants. The manner in which benzoyl peroxide works on the bacteria that can trigger acne is that it actually releases a little extra oxygen that actually is what takes that bacteria down. And that's what you want when you have acne. And the oxidation itself isn't necessarily a good thing, but what can happen if you leave the acne untreated can be far worse, up to and including your skin never looking the same again. Let's just put it that way. But that is a good, so when you're using a benzoyl peroxide product along with products that contain antioxidants, it is a good idea to wait a few minutes. What I would do in this routine is I would cleanse and I would tone. I would give the toner maybe a minute or so to dry. Put on your exfoliant and then your benzoyl peroxide product. You don't have to wait between those steps. And then wait maybe 5 to 7 minutes for the benzoyl peroxide to dry before you finish with the rest of your routine, which would be those products that contain antioxidants. Devin says asks thoughts about the new OTC Differin gel. I think it's absolutely worth trying. Differin has been in use and has been FDA approved in prescription form since I think 95 or 96. And the original prescription strength, which is either 0.1 or 0.01% active ingredient, that is what is available over the counter now as Differin gel. And then there are stronger versions of Differin in both a cream and a gel base, last time I checked, gel for sure, that are available by prescription from a physician. It's an interesting retinoid. A lot of people tolerate that retinoid better than tretinoin, also known as Retin-A or Retin-A Micro. Tazorac is another retinoid that is sometimes prescribed for acne. I had years ago when I switched from Retin-A prescription to Differin, the gel, when it maybe it was out for about a year or so. And the reason I switched is because Retin-A just tore up my skin. It made it so red, so flaky, so sensitive. My acne was kind of confined to this portion of my face. And when I would use the Retin-A, even when following the directions, even when, a pea-sized amount, protecting my skin with sunscreen every day, I always looked like I had a sunburned beard. It was just bizarre. And I'm not saying I didn't have any issues with Differin gel, but they were significantly lessened compared to Retin-A. I know in the years since, Retin-A has gotten much better in terms of delivery systems and being able to work the way it's intended to work without causing nearly as many problems for skin. So I'm not poo-pooing Retin-A for those who are using it now or thinking about talking to their doctor about it. But Differin gel being available over the counter now, get yourself to Target and give it a go. Jacqueline Madrigal, I have dry acne-prone skin. Oh, this is so tough. Do I want to keep reading? I use mainly Paula's Choice products. What's the #1 product you would suggest for my skin type? A BHA exfoliant in a lotion base, such as our Skin Perfecting 2% BHA lotion. And then a little trick that I like to employ with that type of product for dry acne-prone skin is to add a drop or two of our Moisture Renewal Oil Booster to that product. You won't throw off the pH, I promise. Especially given that you're adding an oil to a water-based product as opposed to adding another. There's no pH in the oil booster because it's just oils. But what that will do is it will buffer the lotion even further so that the salicylic acid takes a bit longer to work its magic. But that can help your dry skin and any discomfort you might be feeling as a result of that, because the oils will kick in their own little special magic. So give that a go and let me know what you think. I think our oil booster is amazing, and especially if you live in drier, colder climates, this time of year, it can be your skin savior. Not even kidding about that. It is that good. Any new launches coming up you can speak about? Nothing that I haven't said already. We do have an exciting product coming out in January. I'm not going to say any more than that, other than I've been using this product and I really, really like it. It's made a nice difference. In fact, there's a product I've been using in my routine for quite some time that this new product is really getting good at convincing me to switch. So that's all I'm going to say. Don't torture me. Okay, what is the level of vitamin C in the clinical 1% retinol? Which is coming up. The level, Jennifer, the level of vitamin C in the clinical 1% retinol is something I don't know off the top of my head. However, because that is not one of the ingredients that we call out in the name, we keep that type of information. There's a certain amount of percentage information that we have to keep proprietary. What I can tell you, though, is that for any such ingredients like that in a product, I promise you we are using amounts that research has shown are effective. And with many ingredients, vitamin C being one of them, there is a range of percentages that can work beautifully, and we give you that range in several of our products. We've got our high strength, we've got some products that have less vitamin C along with other ingredients, but just because it may have less vitamin C or less retinol or on and on and on, doesn't mean that we're not using it in an efficacious amount. We're always looking at the research. We're always comparing the research, for example, with our products to what ingredient suppliers recommend. Because for every single ingredient you use from an ingredient supplier, it comes with a spec sheet that has recommended usage levels. And we don't look at that and say, oh, well, they say you need to use at least that much in order to get this benefit, so we're going to use half that. And we'll be able to make the label claim, and people will be happy. It's not how we operate behind the scenes. We are using the ingredients in effective amounts. And with the clinical 1% retinol, that is such a potent, cool combination of anti-aging ingredients with the 1% retinol leading the way. Most of what's there to support that retinol is also there to soothe your skin, which makes the entire product much easier to use. But they also kick in antioxidant and other benefits, some of the fatty acids in terms of hydration and skin calming. It's a fascinating product, and I promise the vitamin C is in there in an efficacious amount. Dry throat. Okay. Perry says, what can be done for surface oiliness with blackheads and dry skin? I use only Paula's Choice, alternate using a BHA and AHA, don't use any fragrant products or hot water. Good. I tried 10% niacinamide with no luck. So, yeah, niacinamide is really not going to do anything for blackheads, sadly. It will help with visibly reducing pore size. It'll help with strengthening your skin surface. It will help with an uneven skin tone. It should help your skin retain natural hydration better. The surface oiliness with blackheads and dry skin, so that whole dry underneath, oily on top. That can be such a tricky combination. We've gotten some really good feedback, Perry, about our new pore refining treatment in the Resist Light Blue collection. So like the new Resist Advanced Smoothing Treatment, 10% AHA, we redid our foaming treatment, 4% BHA foam. That's still available, but the newfangled version of that is in a serum form with a dropper applicator. It's still 4% BHA. Give that a go. Try applying that every night or every other night to cleansed and toned skin. If you don't use a toner, okay. You don't have to go down that road just yet. Just apply it to clean skin then, and then follow with any other treatment products that you normally would use. You do not need to put on that BHA and another BHA, at least not until you waited to see how your skin responds to this. It's once you know that, it's okay to double up if you want to, but it isn't a necessity. Anthony says, Brian, what is your skincare routine of late? Always interested. It's kind of I don't switch up my routine too often. The most common things I swap in are the new items in development that we're working on when it gets to the point where we have a submission and several of us are evaluating the aesthetics and the performance. Some of those products are for my skin type and some aren't, but I will experience the ones that are not necessarily for my skin type because I just want to know what it's like to use the product and whether it's performing as intended. So I'm not trying something like that and saying, oh, it made my oily areas feel so slick. Well, okay, if it's for dry skin, of course it would do that. So I'm not going to say it's a bad product. So what am I doing lately? I'm still using the Moisture Boost One-Step Face Cleanser. I use that morning and evening. I use our Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner morning and evening. I alternate between our exfoliants. I use the Resist Daily Smoothing Treatment with 5% AHA. I'm going to silence my phone. Sorry about that. I use the Calm Redness Relief 1% BHA exfoliant. So those are my two main guys, and I kind of just go back and forth night to night. And I'm one of those people that only puts my exfoliant on at night. I don't do that in the morning. My morning routine is cleanse, tone. I will use our Calm Redness Relief Serum. And then sometimes I will mix that with the hyaluronic acid booster. Love both of those. And then I'll put sunscreen on over that. I'm still using the same sunscreen. I'm still a big fanboy for the SkinCeuticals Physical Fusion SPF 50. That does not mean that, I know some of you are just like, oh, blasphemy. Doesn't mean that I don't think Paula's Choice has great sunscreens or ineffective sunscreens. We have wonderful sunscreens. But as I've said before, it is so important, because sunscreen is so important to your skincare routine. It is critical that you find one that works for your skin type and your personal preferences. And I'm somewhat limited in that my skin typically doesn't tolerate the so-called chemical sunscreens like avobenzone, octinoxate, octisalate, or like, you know, it's fine on my cheeks, but not around my eyes and not on my neck. And I don't want to put on 2 or 3 different SPF products just to make each area of my face happy. So the Physical Fusion product is all mineral, titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. It's SPF 50, which I kind of like because on those days where I may not apply as much as I should, so I'm probably not getting that SPF 50. I'd like to think I'm at least getting SPF 20 to 30. It's theoretical, I'm guessing, because, you know, I don't have that equipment right in my bathroom to check. But anyway, that is still my SPF. It just happens to be what works for me. What else am I using? Oh, I love the Resist Anti-Aging Eye Cream. I use that at night. I have started using the Resist Anti-Aging Eye Gel in the morning. Not because I have morning puffiness or under eye bags. I like that eye gel because of just how I just love how it feels. It just glides on. It feels soothing. I can put concealer around my eyes after the gel has set, and it doesn't make the concealer slip off or crease into lines under my eyes. Yes, I do have them. What else am I using? I still use the Skin Balancing Invisible Finish Moisture Gel. I alternate in when I'm doing treatments. My 3 main anti-aging treatment products outside of exfoliation would be the Brightening Essence, which has the niacinamide, the arbutin, the mulberry, the acetylglucosamine, the ascorbyl glucoside, which is a form of vitamin C that I think is really interesting. I use our 1% retinol booster. I know I've said this before on various videos, but that particular formula just does something remarkable for my skin. So I'll use that at least 2 or 3 nights a week, typically under a moisturizer, sometimes by itself as the last step. And then the other treatment that I alternate with is our C15 booster. Because I love the brightening effect of that. I think that the research on what vitamin C does for skin is pretty much ironclad. And I know how carefully we formulated this product, so it's just kind of a no-brainer for me. I also use the C15 for sun damage, the appearance of sun damage on my arms. And I find it really helps to improve that. So I'll spread a few drops of that on each arm, and then I'll follow with a body lotion. Those are the main things. It does sound like a lot, doesn't it? And then the oil booster is my seasonal. You know, actually, I think our boosters as a group are just so interesting, and I have so much fun customizing my routine with them that I think everyone should have all of our boosters because they just do such great things for skin. But I know that's not in everyone's budget. So if you're curious, start with the one that you think you'll get the most bang for your buck for, and that will come down to your skin type and concerns. Haranita, Elani, Bryan, how to reduce stretch marks using topical products? Oh, I wish you could. There's really not much you can do to reduce. A moisturizer is going to reduce the appearance of stretch marks. Stretch marks are broken bands of elastin beneath the skin. If you think of elastin, which is the substance in skin that gives it its ability to bounce back. When a stretch mark forms, it's like a rubber band that has been snapped to the breaking point. And so that band breaks, and it's still there, but actually here, let's So this is like nice and resilient, it's bouncing back, and then you cut it. This is a stretch mark, and it's still there and it still has some elasticity, but it isn't connected anymore in the way it used to be, and so it can't give your skin that same level of flexibility. Knowing what's going on underneath the skin to cause a stretch mark really explains why there's really nothing you can apply topically that's going to help. But again, if the skin where you have stretch marks is dry or dehydrated, then certainly applying any moisturizer, even the most basic Lubridermy formula, is going to make that area look better. It's not going to do anything about the stretch mark itself, but it will look better. The only thing that I have seen, you can talk to a cosmetic dermatologist about different light-emitting treatments that will help reduce the appearance of stretch marks. Again, it's all about reducing the appearance, because there really isn't anything you can do for the stretch mark itself once it's there. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is that there is some research showing that topical application of prescription retinoids can bring about a modest improvement. And by modest improvement, I mean like 14 to 18% difference in appearance for the better. Not great, but better than nothing. So if you wanted to look into something, I would say start there for your topical. 21 Taffy Girl, do you really need to do a pre-cleanse with an oil before washing your face? Many brands recommend this two-step cleansing. Is it really needed? No, it is not. When there really are only a couple of things, maybe 3 things in skincare that I would say are really needed. A good gentle cleanser, a leave-on exfoliant, AHA or BHA, and sun protection. You knew I was going to say that. Everything else, because I'm likening, you could choose, you might be wondering, why didn't he say moisturizer? Because you can choose a sun protection product that has moisturizing ingredients in it. You can choose a moisturizer with sunscreen. It doesn't have to be 2 different things. And of course, you're going to say, well, what are you going to put on your skin at night? Good question. And if you have dry skin, then yeah, you'd want to add a moisturizer to your list. But if you don't have dry skin, you can get those ingredients that all skin types need from different lighter textures of products. It doesn't have to be a moisturizer per se. Let's see. Oh, when would you need to pre-cleanse with an oil? Because we do offer a cleansing oil, our Paula's Choice Perfect Cleansing Oil. So if you wear heavy makeup, heavy makeup, it can be a little bit open to interpretation. I don't necessarily mean makeup that feels heavy or even makeup that looks heavy, but if you're doing a full face of makeup and you're wearing any amount of long-wearing products, a long-wearing eyeliner, long-wearing lip color, everlasting 16-hour blush, whatever it is, you're going to want something like an oil cleanser or just oil, because oil is such a great solvent to break down those pigments and the other ingredients in the makeup and allow them to be washed away. The other reason to do a pre-cleanse is if you were a more persistent or water-resistant sunscreen. Some gentle cleansers and a lot of, for example, micellar waters, which are generally gentle as a rule, they aren't thorough enough to get all of that sunscreen off. And over time, if you're not getting all that sunscreen off, it can build up on the skin and it can lead to dullness and clogged pores and possibly other issues. Ditto for not getting off all of your makeup. So, yeah, but if you're not somebody that wears a lot of makeup and you're not wearing a heavier duty sunscreen or a water-resistant sunscreen, a regular single cleanser, cream, gel, lotion, whatever you prefer, and then take your skin type into account, that should do fine. If you're wondering if it's not enough, particularly for makeup, take a cotton pad or a cotton ball with some toner and go over your face after you use your cleanser and pat your skin dry and see how much extra stuff you're getting off on the cotton pad. Because if it's makeup, you're going to see it. Now, it could be spots that you missed when you cleanse, so don't be too hard on your cleanser, but just keep that in mind. That's a good litmus test to see if perhaps double cleansing is going to be an option for you. K. Renee asks, can eye creams reduce puffy under eyes? If so, which type? Thank you for taking the time to do this. Oh, well, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Yeah, I mean, I think because of their delivery systems and because of their textures, eye gels or a cream gel product, an example would be Clinique All About Eyes that I wish wasn't packaged in a jar. They have typically a better chance of reducing puffiness and that delicate nature of the skin under the eye where the skin is poofing a little bit. And what happens when you put something heavier, like a cream, on that delicate tissue that's protruding is that it kind of just tends to weigh it down. And gravity takes hold. But if you're using a lighter weight gel, you're going to get that hydration benefit and let those anti-puffy ingredients, which are typically plant extracts that have a soothing effect, it gives them they'll have a better chance to work and a better chance to give you the results that you want in terms of a faster reduction in puffiness. There are not, I have to say this, there are no eye creams or gels or treatments or whatever they want to, whatever they're labeled, that can get rid of the kind of puffiness that happens for a lot of us with age as the fat pads under the eye shift out of place. That type of puffiness that you'll just have all day long, that needs to be addressed by surgical means. And there's a procedure that can, legitimately, honestly, and beautifully address that, and you'll look 10 years younger, and you can stop wasting money on products for under eye bags, because the real problem is beneath the surface of the skin. Other types of puffiness that are more surface are what certain eye gels and lightweight creams can address the appearance of. John says, hello, Bryan. I'm using on a regular basis some tazarotene, and it has done wonders. Tazarotene is a retinoid, prescription retinoid. But my skin is pretty sensitive and easily irritated. What product should I use from your line? John, the Calm line would be great. If your skin is normal to dry, I would also add our Moisture Renewal Oil Booster to that mix, and then you can experiment. You could try applying that product on its own, either on top of moisturizer or instead of, or you can mix a couple drops of it in with the moisturizer or the redness relief serum in the Calm line. TLJ says, hi, Bryan. Can I mix a little bit of the Skin Recovery Super Antioxidant Concentrate Serum with retinol into my foundation? Not sure if this would be a bad idea as it has retinol in it. You'd want to make sure that it's compatible in terms of when you mix it together. Is it staying mixed together, or is it causing the foundation to look streaky or uneven? So I can't give you a firm yes or no without actually knowing what your experience in trying to do that was. Because there are silicones and silicones in that serum, and there are silicones in many of today's liquid foundations, sometimes certain silicones don't play well together, and so rather than meshing together, they tend to float on top of each other and sort of vie for position, and they just never really set up shop on skin the way that they should. And so that can happen with some makeups and silicone-based serums. So I would just say experiment with it and see what happens. There is no reason not to use retinol during the day if you are being good about protecting your skin from sun damage. So if you're using a sunscreen, if your foundation is your source of sunscreen, then I do not advise mixing anything into it because you don't want to affect the sunscreen ingredients themselves. However, if you are using a moisturizer with SPF and you're mixing a little bit of the serum in your foundation and applying that on top, that's okay. Make sure you're not applying it in a rubbing motion, just kind of dab and blend. And if you want to be extra good, you can set that foundation serum mix with a pressed or loose powder that contains sunscreen. That'll just kind of amp things up a bit. Tara says, how excited are you for the new Star Wars this weekend? I'm very excited. In fact, I'm going to be going, I'm not burning the candle at both ends and going to the midnight show or the middle of the night show, which I know they're offering here in town. I'm going to go see it at a more civilized hour on Friday, tomorrow morning, with my friend Dougie. So we're going to be Star Wars geeks together, and we're going to a theater that we get those big Barcalounger type chairs with the giant cup holders, and then we're sitting in the section where you actually have a server throughout the film. And so they'll take your food and drink order before the movie starts, and they'll very discreetly check on you at about the halfway point, and you can get some beer, or you can get a glass of wine or a mixed drink, or just the usual popcorn and soda. I don't know what I'm going to do. As far as whether I'll have a beer or go with the soda, it depends. I know it's going to be emotional for me because I was very affected by the passing of Carrie Fisher. I was really just devastated by that, as I know a lot of other people were, and not just because of what that meant for the Star Wars universe. I've been a big fan of hers for years, and I love her books and her writing style and her wit. I saw her a couple of times when she was on her book tours and made stops in Seattle, like for the Wishful Drinking tour. So that is just it isn't often when a celebrity passes away, of course, if it's someone that I'm a fan of or whatnot, I'll say, oh yeah, that's really sad. I'm sorry that happened, or I feel bad for their spouse or whatever. But in the case of, there's two celebrities I can think of in my lifetime that have passed away that have just really put me in a funk. And hers was one of them. And the other one from several years ago was when John Ritter died. And I was just floored by that. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how strongly I reacted to that. But he was a big part of my childhood because we watched Three's Company ad nauseum when I was growing up. And I still like that show, even though a lot of the jokes are now lame. But okay. John says, no, I've seen Star Wars down there in France. Don't mess with me or I might spoil. Don't spoil anything. I've really tried to remain spoiler free on that. Okay, back to skincare. Jeanette says, hi, Bryan. Thank you so much for doing this. My question is, how do you know if a product is breaking you out or if you're just breaking out for hormonal reasons? Man, I wish I had an easy answer for that, Jeanette, because sometimes it can be both. Sometimes it's just that, the stars are aligned and not in your favor, and it's both that normal breakout and it's also being exacerbated by a product that you're using. And sometimes, this is what makes it so frustrating, is that it isn't just the product, it's the product with the other products in your routine. So what often happens, or what I suspect happens, what I know happens when we break out and we don't normally break out, we'll look at our routine and we'll say, this is the new product. It's this moisturizer. That's what's doing it. And it might be, but it might not be. It could be the way that moisturizer interacts with not only your skin, but also the other products in your routine. In other words, if you just use that moisturizer, you may not break out at all. But it's easier to blame whatever is newest because, we get attached to our products and we're like, well, such and such a product has never given me an issue before. Unfortunately, and again, this is what makes it so complicated and tough to figure out, even products you've used for a long time can one day can one day cause issues that they didn't ever cause in the past. And part of that is because our skin isn't static. It changes for various reasons, internal influences, external influences, such as the seasons, such as more sun exposure, traveling, our level of exhaustion. So unfortunately, it really comes down to trial and error. You can stop using the product that you think is the culprit and see if your breakouts stop. One way that you could hone in on it a little bit better is if you start seeing breakouts in a part of your face where you don't normally break out. So for me, if I'm going to break out and I do still get the occasional pimple, it's going to be really through this area and on my chin. I rarely break out on my forehead and almost never on my cheeks. So if I'm going along and I've got 2 or 3 new products in my routine and all of a sudden I see a breakout pop up over here or up here, I think in that type of situation, it'd be easier to feel confident that it's one of the new products, something in one of the new products you're using is triggering that. But even that doesn't eliminate the possibility that it's the new product or products with the other products in your routine or your makeup. I mean, you see what I mean? It's just one of those skincare frustrations that you just kind of have to do your best about being a detective and trial and error. Mercedes says, may the force be with you, Bryan. Mercedes, that's Mercedes of Paula's Choice Skincare, my longtime coworker. She and her husband have some amazing Star Wars costumes, like amazingly authentic, and they do lots of charitable work with their, I'm gonna butcher, is it the five? You're not part of the, you are part of the 501st, I think. She's probably nodding. But yeah, it's easy to look at groups like that and think, oh, they're just doing it because they love Star Wars and they want attention. And it's in my experience that, yes, these groups do love Star Wars, probably more so than the average person, but they are out there spreading that happiness and enthusiasm to other people and really just making the world a better place. So thank you guys for that. Rotting robot. Bryan, do you have any advice, skincare or makeup advice of dealing with hyperhidrosis of the face? I am not quite sure what that is. I am sorry. That is a stumper for me. I suspect it might have something to do with either excess hair or excess sweating. But even if it's one of those two things, I apologize. I wouldn't know what to tell you. Sorry about that. Payal says, hi, Bryan. Can you please tell me what is the future of skincare? Are we ever getting a cure for pores anytime in the near future? Are we ever getting a perfect sunscreen? Well, let me consult my crystal ball. By the way, are you guys seeing the Christmas wreath in the background? I was trying to get a little festive. Because this is the last live chat that I'm doing before Christmas and New Year's, and all of the other year-end holidays that everyone loves celebrating, except Boxing Day. No, that's fun. The Canadians love it. I don't think there'll ever be a perfect sunscreen. Let me just start with. I'll start with that. There are too many variables and people's personal preference. It's almost like there'll never be a perfect politician or a perfect movie star or a perfect parent for that matter. Hopefully you will find your perfect sunscreen one of these days. And sunscreen is absolutely a category where experimentation is the name of the game. I will say that in the 18 years I've been actively involved in this industry in terms of the research and the writing and the reporting, I have seen sunscreens make monumental aesthetic improvements from the way they used to be. So I have hope that you will find your perfect sunscreen. Pores, I don't like, I have issue with saying getting a cure for pores because our pores aren't a disorder, they're not a disease. It's not an illness if you have large pores or visible pores. It's a part of your skin. And there are steps you can take with skincare, such as exfoliation, that will make pores appear smaller. And this is a lesser known fact, but keeping your skin protected from sun damage on a daily basis, particularly from a younger age, will help prevent your pores from enlarging as you get older. Because when we see the cumulative damage of sun exposure and that effect it has on skin supportive substances, so below the surface of skin, that is reflected on the surface by the fact that our skin can take on an orange peel-like texture and the pores become much more apparent because the substances supporting the skin are damaged and are actually decreasing in volume, which causes the pores to distend and open. I hate saying, I should have said stretch. Let's say stretch, because pores don't open and close like window blinds. You may have seen that tip like, splash your face with cold water to close your pores. That'll just irritate your skin. When your skin is irritated, your pores will look a little smaller because you've actually got some swelling going on from all that cold. But then as soon as your skin warms back up to room temperature, to your normal body temperature, the pores will go back to their normal looking size. So let's not talk about a cure for pores because we can talk about how to make them look smaller, which we already went over. One thing I think we will start seeing that's rather fascinating with skincare is I think we're in the next 5-10 years, maybe even sooner, we're going to start seeing products that are more highly tailored to respond to your unique skin type and needs. And I'm not talking about those moisturizers from days past that say it's a smart moisturizer that knows where you're dry and knows where you're oily, and it holds back the moisturizing ingredients from the oily areas and lets them go on the dry areas. And we always wonder, like, well, where are those ingredients that are not supposed to go on the oily areas? How are they? Are they floating? What's going on there? I think all of that deeper level of personalization and customization for skincare is going to actually tie in to influencing some factors in skin in a very specific way that could have some profound effects on how our skin looks and how our skin behaves. So it can easily get very technical and scientific, and there's a large chunk of it that at this point is over my head. So I'm not skirting the issue as much as just like, I can only say so much about it right now, and I'm kind of just giving you the headlines. Let's do a couple more questions. Marie wants to know if benzoyl peroxide can cause premature aging. I've had to use it for years for acne and feel like I'm getting wrinkles before my peers. I've never seen any research, and benzoyl peroxide has been in use for decades, that as long as, if you're not overdoing it in the sense of like you are applying 10% benzoyl peroxide all over your face twice a day, and you're not protecting your skin from sun damage, and the rest of your skincare routine tends to be more on the drying side, that combination and the superficial dryness that higher amounts of benzoyl peroxide can cause, that could be exacerbating the look of fine lines and wrinkles. But I've never seen any research, and given how benzoyl peroxide works within the pore, I don't even see how it wouldn't remain. My sense is it wouldn't remain stable long enough to reach a point in skin where it could influence factors that lead to wrinkles in the way that, for example, UV light does. So I would take a look at the benzoyl peroxide product you're using. Maybe you're using a prescription product that's a little bit too potent for you, and you can talk to your doctor about alternatives. If you haven't tried a salicylic acid, also known as BHA product, to get your acne under control, that would be a huge improvement for you, and you may actually be able to stop using benzoyl peroxide. And the salicylic acid is going to address factors behind breakouts as well as hydration. It'll help improve the appearance of fine lines. It helps with skin tone. It helps diminish the size of enlarged pores. I mean, it's a multifaceted ingredient. So for example, from the Paula's Choice line, you could take a look at using our skin perfecting 2% BHA liquid, or if ongoing acne is still an issue, and I suspect it is if you're still using benzoyl peroxide, the Clear, which is our acne line, we have a product called Clear Anti-Redness Exfoliating Solution Extra Strength, which is the darker, more the teal blue bottle. Give that a go. All right, we're running a bit over. But this is my last one of the year. Okay. I'm trying to find like a really interesting question, and they're all interesting. You guys are too good. So many exfoliants. And using so many exfoliants, this is from Bijou, thin out your skin. Not in the way that you might be thinking. Not in the way you might be thinking. What they do by getting rid of that uppermost layer or layers of dead skin cells that would normally shed imperceptibly. And I always say, think of how a child's skin looks and how it's plump and smooth and they don't have dry flaky patches or big pores or stuff like that. Their skin is exfoliating naturally. With age, due to various skin issues, with sun damage, that process can become faulty. And for some people, it can slow to a snail's pace, which results in those skin cells that would normally shed imperceptibly, they start building up on the surface of your skin. And they build up, and like a callus on your foot. If you don't do anything about that callus, it ain't going to get any prettier. It's just going to keep getting thick and uncomfortable, and it'll look worse and worse and worse until, I mean, you could look at a callus on the foot and say, and liken it to skin becoming dehydrated and wrinkled or sort of almost prune-like. And you use a BHA or AHA exfoliant, and all of that is like magically taken away because you're getting rid of all of that buildup on skin's surface. That's what makes the difference. Now, you could say literally that getting rid of that buildup makes your skin thinner, but you don't want that stuff on your surface anyway because it's not pretty and it's not doing your skin any favors. It actually starts becoming an impediment to the skincare products you're applying. They have to try to get through all of that mess, and not all of them succeed. So you're not even getting the best results possible from your skincare if you're not taking care of that buildup. But it does not thin skin in the sense that you're gonna eventually get down to the blood vessels. That's not at all what happens. All right, one more question. Who haven't we taken a question from? So Katie says, first she says she loves the new 10% AHA blend product. Glad to hear that. I think that's going to be a popular product. I really do. Then she also goes on to say, do you recommend the Resist Omega Plus Complex Serum for combination skin in the winter? And I do. I would be careful about putting it on your oily areas because you probably won't like how it's going to feel in those areas. But as someone who has combination skin, I have experimented with that product myself, just putting it on. I'm not oily through here, so I'll put it on my cheeks, jawline, and neck every so often. For the most part, I find the products that I mentioned earlier, they tend to give me enough hydration that I don't need that extra step. But that Omega Serum is a really nice formula. And what the omega fatty acids do for skin is, especially if you have sensitive skin and especially if you have surface issues where you think that your skin surface, its barrier has become depleted. It's just such a good replenisher. So, all right, guys, I could go on all day, but thank you so much for joining me. And I want to wish all of you a beautiful holiday season. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I think what matters most is that at this time of year, you take stock of everything that you've been blessed with, everything that's gone well, and you look and say, okay, what can I do better? My philosophy, if you care, is that we're all on this planet to do something good. And if you are doing something good for other people and for the world you live in, that just the level of meaning and purpose that gives to life, it's the greatest gift. There really isn't any other way to say it. And if you have people to share that journey with, then it's even more meaningful. So that's what I reflect on as each year comes to a close, and I hope you do something similar and have a wonderful time with your friends, with your loved ones, and I will see you next year.